Ranvir was still asleep. Then Anitaji knocked the door of Ranvir's room. But many times after knocking the door, when Ranvir did not open the door, then Anitaji herself opened the door and came inside. Ranvir had covered his head with a pillow and was still sleeping in the same position. Anitaji looked at him and shook her head and stood next to his bed and called out to him. Ranvir, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, son. How long will you sleep? Ranvir got irritated and said, Mom, please go from here now. Anyway, I could not sleep properly last night. Anitaji gave him an order and said, Ranvir, today is your wedding and your grandmother has called you down to complete some rituals. Get up quickly and get ready and come down. Ranvir got irritated and got up and sat down and looked at Anitaji and said, Now which ritual is this? This grandmother is remembering all these rituals at my wedding. There was no such ritual at Rudra's wedding. Anitaji started laughing at Ranvir's face. She said, all these rituals took place at Rudra's wedding too. But if you were involved in all this, you would have been careful. But you and your office. Now come down quickly, and if you do not come down in the next 15 minutes, then see. Saying this, Anitaji went out of the room and Ranvir went to the washroom even though he did not want to. In the evening, Maheshji and Gangadharji were watching all the preparations because the wedding procession was about to come. Meanwhile, the rest of the ladies were busy getting their makeup done. A makeup artist had come to prepare Mahi. The helper who came with the makeup artist had also prepared Priya and Tina. Tina, who was always a tomboy, she also wore a lehenga on Mahi's request. She had made her face as if someone had threatened her and made her wear those clothes. Then Priya teased her and said, Hey Tina, you are a girl, we came to know today. Tina said while making a face, Look Priya, stop making fun of me. I am already getting irritated in these clothes. Priya smiled, hugged Tina and said, Looking good, sometimes wear such girls' clothes. Priya herself was wearing a light sky blue lehenga in which she was looking very beautiful. Meanwhile, Mahi was wearing a red dress. The makeup artist saw her and smiled and said, Ma'am, I have done makeup for more than one beautiful girl. But I have never seen a beautiful bride like you. Mahi was embarrassed to hear the makeup artist. Then Nirmala came to the room. At first, she kept looking at Mahi. Seeing her in the bride's dress, her eyes became wet. She started remembering Mahi's childhood. For her, Mahi was still the same little doll who was eagerly waiting for her arrival in Ujjain every year. And when they all went to Ujjain, Mahi, holding Nirmala's hand, kept following them. Thinking all this, Nirmala took a little coal from the corner of her eye and put it behind Mahi's ear and said, May no one cast an evil eye on my lovely doll. Mahi's eyes also became wet. Nirmala changed her words and said, Hey, hurry up, the wedding procession is about to arrive. And Priya, Tina, both of you go down now. We have to welcome the wedding procession. Saying this, Nirmala came out of the room. Priya and Tina also went down quickly. Now only Mahi was left in the room. She was sitting in front of the dressing table, looking at herself. Seeing her reflection in the mirror, Mahi, just a few hours, and then your life will be connected with someone else's life. Hey Mahadev, give me so much courage and understanding that I can live this relationship with full honesty. In a while, about 10 to 12 cars stopped in front of their mansion. And people from the Kapoor family came out of those cars one by one. Ranbir was not less than a prince in the form of a groom. Nirmala did the aarti of Ranbir and put a tilak on his forehead and welcomed him. Both the family and the wedding procession were laughing and joking with each other. At the same time, a separate scene of Priya and Vedanta was going on. Both were looking at each other as if their eyes were threatening to look at each other. At the same time, Ranbir's heart was eager to see Mahi as a bride. Panditji had made all the preparations in the mandap and Ranbir was also sitting in the mandap. After a while, Panditji said, Call the bride. Sarika and Nirmalji went to Mahi's room to take her. Priya, Ruhi and Tina were having fun with each other. At the same time, Priya pointed at Tina. So Tina paid attention to Ruhi in her talks. Priya quietly ran away with Ranbir's shoes. But Vedanta did not allow her to do so. Priya came running into the hall and hid the shoes in a safe place. Then she said to herself, mission complete. Then she started going back to the garden. Then someone grabbed her hand and tied her to the pillar. A slight scream came out of Priya's mouth. And when she saw the person in front of her, she said in anger, "You?" A devil's smile came on Vedanta's face. She said, "Yes, me? Yesterday you ran away. But now it's my turn to teach you a lesson." Priya pushed him and said, "Look, I am very busy today. Otherwise, who will teach who a lesson? I would have told you." Vedanta went 2 steps back, but before Priya ran away from there, Vedanta grabbed him by the waist and said to himself, "What have you thought? After troubling Vedanta Rakhor, you will escape so easily." Then he came close to her face and said, "Come on, say sorry." Being so close to Vedanta, Priya's face disappeared. Now there was no sound coming out of her mouth. She said in a frightened voice, "You stay away and talk." Seeing Priya so scared, a smile came on Vedanta's face. She thought to herself, "Oh, so this is the way to make this Miss Chatterpatter stop talking." Thinking this, he came closer to Priya's face. Priya's heart started beating very fast. Vedanta was in the same state. Vedanta thought he would trouble Priya, but here his heart was beating seeing Priya's soft lips, his throat dried up. He may have been in an affair with many girls, but he had never felt such a feeling with anyone. He slowly started bowing to her lips. Before he could touch her, Priya gave him a strong push and stood away from him. Then she said in anger, "Are you mad? What were you going to do?" As soon as he got away from Priya, Vedanta realized what he was going to do. He took a deep breath once or twice and made himself normal. Then he smiled and said, "Were you going to kiss?" "What else?" Priya warned him. "What? How could you even think that I would waste my first kiss on you? Don't come near me again." Otherwise, Vedanta came to him and said, "Really? Otherwise what?" Seeing Vedanta coming again, Priya ran away and said, "I will see you, shameless." As soon as Priya ran away, Vedanta put both his hands in his pocket and smiled and said, "Now I will take your first kiss." After saying this, Vedanta remembered Priya's pink lips and said, "What lips? I will taste them." As soon as he thought this, he got a devil's smile on his face. At the same time, Sarika and Nirmala came with Mahi. Ranvir, who was waiting for this moment, got angry on seeing Mahi. Mahi's shy, long cheeks, Sarika's makeup, her red lips, and the innocence of her face. Mahi was looking very beautiful today. Mahi's fair complexion was more visible in that red dress. Ranvir said, "I can't believe it. Such a beautiful girl will become my wife in the next few days." Mahi was made to sit near Ranvir in the mandap. In some time, Panditji started reciting mantras. As he kept reciting, both of them kept doing the same. After this, Panditji asked both of them to stand for the circumambulation. As soon as both of them stood, Panditji started reciting mantras. He started circumambulating with every word. Panditji was explaining the meaning of the words related to him with every circumambulation. Mahi was overwhelmed. "Even if I got married out of helplessness, I will follow these words with all my heart and soul. I will follow all the woes of my wife." After the circumambulation, both of them sat down. Now it was time for the Kanyadan. At the time of Kanyadan, where Gangadharji's eyes were wet, Mahi's eyes were also filled. After the Kanyadan, Panditji asked Ranvir to apply vermilion on Mahi's forehead. Ranvir filled Mahi's forehead with a gold coin. As soon as he filled vermilion on Mahi's forehead, Mahi closed her eyes. With her wet eyes, a drop of tear fell on Mahi's forehead. After this, Panditji asked Ranvir to put on the Mangal Sutra. So, Ranvir put the Mangal Sutra of his name on Mahi's neck. With this, Panditji said, "The marriage is complete. Now both of you are husband and wife. Now both of you touch the feet of your elders and take their blessings." After completing all the rituals, there was a wave of happiness everywhere. After a few more rituals, it was time to say goodbye. The courage that Mahi had kept till now it was time to say goodbye. The same was the case with Gangadharji. Mahi was crying from her chest. She was not ready to leave him. Seeing her crying, the eyes of other people present there also got wet. Like a small child, Mahi was hugging her father and crying. "Father, don't send me. I don't want to leave you and go anywhere. I don't want to go. I want to stay with you." Gangadharji covered his face with his hands and said, wiping his tears, "Child, you and I are in this city. And when you feel like meeting, come." Similarly, Mahi hugged Maheshji and Nirmalji and cried a lot. Then everyone made her sit in the car. Gangadharji folded his hands in front of Ranvir and said, "Son-in-law, my Mahi is still naive. If she ever makes a mistake, make her understand it lovingly. I have entrusted my delicate daughter's hand in your hands with great confidence. Never leave her hand." With this saying, tears started flowing from his eyes. Ranvir held his hand and said, "Mahi is now my responsibility. I will take good care of her. You don't worry." After a while, he also sat on the back seat of the car next to Mahi. One by one, everyone sat in their own car and all the cars left. Will Ranvir be able to keep his promise to Gangadharji? Will Gangadharji ever find out the reality of Ranvir? How will Mahi's in-laws' first day be? To know more, keep listening to Oh Baby only on Love Pulse Diaries.